Record. Okay, there we go. So yes, so we are live with Carrie. Woohoo! Hopefully you guys know her by now. A lot of you guys do. She's our holistic health coach. So like I've been saying in the VIP group, we are talking about eating more to lose weight. I know it's kind of a weird concept for people, but I'm super excited about this one. I know in the gym, we see so many people that we tell them to eat more, and they do, and then it makes sense. But I'm gonna let Carrie kind of take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining. So this is a topic that Lindsie and I have talked about so many times that we're like, we have to do a live about this because, and we'll touch on it a little bit more later. Like, this is the complete opposite of what we've ever been told. Like, I've grown up in, like, I went through all the phases, right? No fat, no sugar, no this, no that. But people are simply like, you just cut calories and you lose weight. So that's not the thing. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And what you can do to combat that besides just eating more. So I don't know if you guys saw our live about breakfast, the most important meal of the day. So hopefully you got some takeaways from that. But this is a huge part, I feel like, when you're working out, like setting up your blood sugar for the day. So the first and foremost, do not skip breakfast. I need my breakfast. And I can tell when I don't have it. Like today I was running out of the house and I was just a mess. Like it doesn't work. And then eat within 2 hours of waking up. There are some folks in the holistic world that say 1 hour, but I know sometimes you're just waking up and it's hard to eat within an hour. So if you're eating within 2 hours of waking up, getting your blood sugar ready, which is really what breakfast is doing. It's setting up our blood sugar for the day. So how do we do that? I know we've talked about this before, but protein at breakfast. Protein, just because it's breaking down slower with everything that's eaten with it. So it's absorbed into the bloodstream slower, and we can really balance our blood sugar. So before, like, I don't know, I have a sugar problem. I would just eat a bagel. And when I was healthy, I wasn't even having cream cheese with it. So it was like, woo, sugar, and then crash. And then you're hungry an hour later, which really isn't what we want to be doing. So make sure you have protein. That will help sustain your blood sugar. So if I eat an omelet with 2 eggs and 2 egg whites with, I don't know, sauteed up with some onions or some spinach or something like that, that's going to sustain me longer than that bagel. A lot longer than that bagel. So breakfast options, obviously eggs have protein in them. Some folks can eat tons of eggs. You get bored with that, try like a chia seed pudding. You can make that overnight. I eat leftover soup sometimes, like a leftover chicken soup or something that has protein in it. Quinoa, you can make into like a quinoa porridge. I hate that word because it just sounds gross to me, but but you could cook it with, like an almond milk or a coconut milk or something. I also, and I don't know, Lindsie, if you've tried these too, I think you have, you can make protein pancakes, like out of protein powder. You could use that, whip it up with some eggs and some banana, and then you have something that has protein that's not just eggs. You can make muffins with that too, with the protein powder. I'm sure you guys have some recipes and I can share some of that too, just so you have a variety of stuff. So I wanted you guys in the comments, since you've already heard this before, what is your favorite breakfast that includes protein? And Lindsie, I don't know, do you eat a lot of eggs? What do you eat for breakfast?
Yeah, usually mine is eggs. Because and like I'm in a hurry, I feel like a lot of the time. So it's like quick eggs, sometimes a hard boil eggs. That way those are easy to just kind of grab and go for, even for later. And then I usually do like a chicken sausage as well. I love the Publix. Yeah, the Publix like Greenwise brand. So they have like a few different like flavors, like spinach and feta. But those are some good protein as well. I'll do a couple of those with some eggs, and then usually like an avocado. And also, like, I feel full for a very long time when I start the day off, and then usually like a little side of fruit too. But yeah.
Oh, awesome. That's a good idea. I'm like, that sausage is a good idea. And in the Greenwise section, good to go.
Yeah.
So that brings us to eating more to lose weight. again, which is pretty much the opposite of what we've ever been told. I actually had somebody attack me on Facebook and basically said, it's just calories in minus calories out. I'm like, it really kind of isn't. So if you think you need to just eat less to lose weight, you're wrong. If you think about it, if you're not taking in enough nutrients, your body's not going to burn fat because it's in like a fat storage mode. It's like kind of in a starvation mode. So when you think about it, like back in the day, our bodies would go through spells with no food. Like we were just foraging for stuff, or, you'd be on a big hunt and there would be periods without food. So our bodies got really good at going into a starvation mode. Like, hey, we're just going to expend and use the little tiny amount of energy that we need to survive. And I actually heard this quote the other day from a holistic person. It was like, our bodies are built to survive, not necessarily thrive, depending on what we're giving it. So when we're in this survival mode, our bodies really kind of up our cortisol levels. So what happens is when our glucose levels are going down or we're not getting enough food, our cortisol goes up, which I'm sure you've heard of, and is a stress hormone. And it's like, store fat. Hey guys, store fat. We're going to be going into a period of starvation. Like we cannot afford to lose the fat. We need to keep it. Which I'm sure you guys, a lot of talk about cortisol lately. So anyway, so we're going to talk more about protein in a minute, but if you're not getting enough, your body is going to just start breaking down existing muscle to get the protein that it needs to. But like I said, we'll get back into that in a little bit. So this was a hard lesson for me to learn because I don't eat enough protein. But when you start working out a lot, because someone had asked in the group, yes, you should definitely eat more, and specifically protein will help you feel fuller longer. So I get asked this a lot, and I'm sure Lindsie does too. Like people plateau. So at first, yeah, like your body, you're moving, you haven't moved in a while, you're losing a lot of weight, but all of a sudden you hit that plateau, which sucks. And you're like, what am I going to do now? So what do we do when we do it? Simply eat more, and specifically protein. Again, because the protein keeps you fuller longer. And it's really important for building muscle. So, I just started lifting weights seriously and I needed to eat a lot of protein. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get in all this protein? Because you really need to bring that up. Another thing to keep in mind is that muscle dictates metabolism. So if you have more muscle, eat more protein, make more muscle, have a higher metabolism. So how much protein should we be having? Now, if you're lifting a ton of weights, you might need a little bit more for this, but a good rule of thumb is for women, 4 to 6 ounces at meals, men 6 to 8 ounces at meals, and then 2 to 3 ounces at snacks. And when I talk to my folks, you're going to eat three meals a day, include protein. And snacks, you got to include protein too. I'm sure you've heard me say protein and fiber at every meal, but make sure you do that. But when in doubt, just add more protein. That's what I tell people. Like most people do not get enough protein. And that was, my wake up call, especially when they started doing my blood work. I'm like, just not getting enough protein, which happens, unfortunately. Yeah. So, hey, I'm still learning about things too. And our bodies go through different phases. But when you're working out a lot, make sure to taking your protein shakes, and there's a lot of other ways to get your protein. Like I mentioned, just even for breakfast, if you don't really want to eat that much chicken. I mean, I have friends who go on diets and they're eating chicken like for every meal for 3 weeks. Like you're going to get tired of chicken. So yeah.
Stuff. I get tired of eating.
Yeah.
Stuff. So I have to watch that.
I do too. I wear it out. Like when I found quinoa, I was like, this is amazing. I think I ate it for like a year straight and was like, I can't eat anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So variety is really what's going to help you stay on track. So as we're starting with protein, I always tell people, obviously you still need to eat your veggies, but start with the protein when you're eating. That way you make sure you're getting all the protein that you need, then move on to your veggies and then your starches and veggies at the end if you're still hungry and you still feel like you need a little bit. I know some of us that are working out sometimes need more starch because we're burning through, right? We need some of those carbs or, some brown rice or something to sustain us. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if Lindsie, I'm sure you feel the same way about this, is counting calories. Hate it. Hate when people count calories. I just don't think it's a good representation of your overall health and what you're eating. So, not all calories are created equal. That's why you simply just cannot cut calories to lose weight, because, 300 calories of broccoli is not the same as 300 calories of chocolate cake. I mean, your chocolate cake would be a tiny little piece, but if that was the case, I would just eat chocolate cake. Yeah, so obviously we have to look at the nutritional value of the food that we're actually eating. So for me, it's more focusing on the quality of the food that you're eating. And if you're doing that, focusing on the protein, the veggies, and then a little bit of starch, I think that then you don't need to count calories. And I don't, with any of my clients, I don't teach that. We don't talk about calories. We talk about quality of food and the amount of those types of food. Like I think counting calories is just too restrictive, and then it puts you in that starvation mindset, which we don't want, because sometimes you need to eat more food to lose weight. So
I have a
yeah.
perfect example of that actually. So one of our 6-week challengers, she came in last week. She did her weigh in, and it had gone up significant. Like her body fat had gone up, her weight, everything went in the wrong direction. So she was using, oh my gosh, I want to say Map My Fitness, but that's not it. But one of the apps to track her stuff. So like we, dug a little deeper. She was technically under calories, but it was not all good. Like for example, like she had a huge brunch full of not all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And then snacked like the rest of the day. So she ended up being like under on her calories, but they weren't quality calories, like you were just saying. So this week now is a little bit better for her, but yeah, but like that's a perfect example right there. I was like, you're killing your metabolism. Like you need to eat more. You need to eat more good stuff. Like just because you're under on your calories, like look at what you actually had to eat. So yeah, super important with what those calories actually represent, for sure. Yeah.
And that's a great example. So I one of my old roommates was on Weight Watchers, and she would save all of her cheat points so that on Saturday and Sunday she could just eat whatever the heck she wanted. Yeah, which was on the program, right? That was the program. Like you have X amount of points, and yeah, to be not saved, I'm sure, for Sunday and Saturday, but then it was like a free for all. And yeah, and that totally jacks up your metabolism, and your blood sugar's all over the place, and it takes a couple days to get it back too. So
yeah, just you have to be consistent. It has to be a lifestyle. You have to be mindful of it every day. But like I know for me personally, like when I start making the changes, like I feel so much better. I like have to remember that, like as I continue, like I just start feeling even better and better. And that's, I have to realize like, okay, I'm not, diving into the stuff, but I'm also realistic. Like if it is a birthday or, whatever, I want to have a little something sweet after I go out to eat or whatever, like, yeah, you are allowed that, but otherwise it has to be a consistent lifestyle. So
yeah, and that's a good point too. Like I don't want anyone to ever like feel hungry. If you're feeling hungry, just eat some more protein and veggies, try to get more of that good stuff, or even like, I don't know, some sweet potatoes, like something with a little bit of sweetness if you need it. But yeah, don't get to a point where you're like hangry.
Yeah. And I always have something on hand for sure.
Yeah, me too. I have like a little cooler in my car. It's got a bunch of like nuts and snacks and all that stuff. So yeah, so I think that's about it. I would love if people would put in the comments too, like, what is your biggest challenge around this mindset? Is it, were you like me, or I was told like fat's terrible, or like you need to eat I mean, I've done it all. I was a vegetarian for 6 months because I thought that was healthy. Like I've tried all of it. And what seems to be consistent on the board, whether, protein, it doesn't matter what kind of source you get it from, but the more protein, really, the better.
For sure. Yeah, we've had like 7 or 8 people on the entire time, but one person just said she eats Quaker oatmeal before 8 a.m., but then it sits heavy and she doesn't want lunch. So, yeah. So I would say she probably needs, well, I don't know. How would you
What is she cooking with almond milk? Like maybe you can try it, or like put some peanut butter on top of it.
Okay, add some more protein to it. Like, yes, it's still going to be heavy, but I would still say you don't want to skip lunch either. Like maybe have a decent protein snack.
Yeah, yeah, even if it's a little snack. Like I worry if someone is going like 3 to 4 hours without eating. Like
Yeah.
I'd say, like if you can go, like if you're awake, please don't go longer than 4 hours without eating. So even if you can have like a little snack or add something maybe in there that will
Yeah.
spark, or try like maybe something different, maybe a different protein, or like a chia seed pudding that has like more of an oatmeal feel, and try that and see if that, helps.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was Chris. I don't know if she's still on or not, but Chris, if you have any other questions or anybody else, feel free to drop them in there. I'm not really seeing anything from anybody else. Matt just joined. We did answer your question, Matt. I'm not sure if you saw it or not. But if not, I can talk to you about it later. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's all we have. I'm not getting much from anybody else. So
All right.
yeah, but if you guys do have questions later, you can always drop them in. If you're watching this later, drop in any questions you may have. And then, we'll keep an eye on that. We can always answer that. You can always reach out to us. As well as Carrie, we have her cards at the studio, which I believe are getting low. So you may want to.
Oh, next, I'm due for a class anyway, so I will drop those off when I go to work out.
But yeah, so her cards are at the studio. And then what's the other best way? Just visit the website to get a hold of you then?
Yeah, probably just my website on there as a contact form, and you can just contact me through there, or even messenger me on Facebook if you have any questions, or if you want more coaching, let me know.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you. And thank you to all that joined us or are maybe watching this later. And I hope you guys have a great night. See you soon.